Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Thursday, April 28th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Frankie. You are number one. So we're going to get started. We are going to get started. There we go. So today I am going to talk about, or like to have a discussion about attending your ex's funeral. Okay, your ex passes away and you have a history of being the interloper. Do you actually pay your respects? I mean, are there rules about attending the funeral services of an ex, be an ex-boyfriend, ex-fiance, ex-husband, ex-wife, ex-lover, whatever? Is there certain protocol? What exactly, what do you do? And, does it depend on how much time has passed? If it's the father or mother of your children and they're young children, do you take them with you, or do you just go by yourself, or do you just not go? If they're older, do they go by themselves? Again, does it depend upon the relationship of the of your spouse? But if you're known as being the interloper, okay, if you're the interloper, and Frankie says depends on relationships, and yes, it does. I can totally see that. I can totally see that it would depend upon the relationship. But what do you do if you are known as that person who was always in the mix? You guys broke up, he's with someone else or she's with someone else, and you're constantly there. You're constantly the one that is just there. Do you stay? Do you, make yourself known, or do you leave? Are you going to be the one that they whisper about at this person's funeral? I mean, if you were known as the interloper, as the one who was causing the trouble, are you purposely going to this funeral to cause trouble? Are you purposely going to to make the gossip start talking? Well, when I was thinking about this, when this topic came to mind, because of a movie that I saw, and it was actually pretty funny. And you know, it's amazing um how people feel about their exes. I mean, an ex, whether they're dead, they're alive and walking around, people have very definitive, um, almost ownership of an ex. I mean, an ex to me is okay. You've exited out of the picture. You know, we're no longer a couple. We're no longer an item. I no longer work for you. You're my ex boss. Um, you know, you are, you know, my ex-boss, so therefore I don't work for you anymore. You're my ex-boyfriend, so therefore I can date someone else. You're my ex-husband, my ex-wife. We're no longer married. However, if there's children involved or pets, you know, you can be in, you know, wrapped up in that person. But people have very definitive ideas about exes. Welcome, Juju. You know, some people feel that their exes are their property. And that's the only way that I can say it. Um, you know, we did a show a couple months ago on would you date, you know, your best friend's ex? And some people are like, hell no, you better not ever, whatever. It's like, do you move on? So when your ex passes away, do you have that right to go to the funeral? You know, do you, I mean, do you have welcome power girl? I mean, do you have the right to, you know, just show up if you were known as that interloper? And when I say the interloper, I'm talking about the person who always caused trouble in the relationship, after the relationship. And why would you want to show up? So, you know, that's what I want to know. If you had a relationship with this person, um, who was probably even, you know, toxic, why do some people feel the need to show up at your ex's funeral? I mean, because if you know, if my ex, one of my ex boyfriends were to pass away, the only reason why I would show up was to make sure that he was in that box, you know. But for the most part, anybody else, you know, I'm sorry it happened. My life is completely different. I'm over here, whatever. But why do some people feel that they have the need to show up at that funeral? You know, and if you do show up, are you drawing attention to yourself, or are you the one who is you're truly going to, you know, pay your respects, um but you just want to sit in the corner, um and just, you know, not do anything. You're just going to go and sit in the corner, and you're just going to be the person who is not known, and you're going to slip in, and you're going to slip out. I mean, are you that person? You know, do you take a card? Do you you know, take a card and uh you know, ex, um, express your sympathy. Um, you know, what do you do? You know, will you have a strong emotional reaction? You know, are you going to have a strong emotional reaction because, uh, you know, depending upon your relationship and how you broke up, or do you go? Are you the girlfriend who goes to the funeral of the ex that left you for his his wife, the person that um he's married to now. So you're the one that got uh welcome Ba. You're the one that got scorned, and he left you for his now wife. So are you going to his funeral just to like be in his wife's face? And again, you hear about these stories, and sometimes you see stuff on YouTube, or you see movies or whatever, and uh you just laugh, and you just wonder who shows up at their ex's funeral. And and earlier Frankie says it depends upon the relationship. So I do understand if you have small children with this person, or like I said, pets. Yeah, you do show up. But if you have a toxic relationship, or there's animosity, why do people show up? Welcome, Mama Bear, and welcome, Angie. You know, why do people show up? I mean, if you're fighting with this person left and right, and you broke up, and every time you saw this person you just want to slap them, whatever, or slap her, or you all just do not get along, why show up to the funeral? So that's my question. So let me see, does anybody have some comments in here? Okay. Mama Bear says to piss people off, and Angie says that I wouldn't go. I'm saying you wouldn't. I wouldn't, meaning you wouldn't go, and so people talk about you. Okay, so Mama Bear, so while you're pissing people off, are you pissing the the ex's current significant other off, or are you pissing off the family of the ex? Are you pissing off everybody? And when you say so people talk about you, are you doing it to take focus away from are you doing it to take focus away from the service and the person that we're supposed to be mourning, and you're purposely putting the focus on you? Because people people are crazy. I mean, they they really are. You know, you know, you just think about some of the things that people do at funerals. And did you know that there's actually an etiquette guide? There's actually an etiquette guide on what you should and should not do at at a funeral if you are an ex. They say that you should not attend the funeral if you're not on good terms with the ex spouse and the ex family. Um, uh, if you are still on good terms and the memories are positive, whatever, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But at the same time, they say that you should be aware that your presence may cause more grief for the family. So let's see. Bob says time is a great healer. Some people value the good times enough to pay their respects. Okay. Um, okay. Mama says both. So people talking about you and to piss people off. Okay. Should I travel 100 miles in bad weather? No. Hello, Sean. Sean. Okay. And that's another thing because Juju. Okay, so how far would you travel for your if you and your ex were on good terms? How far would you travel to his or her funeral? I mean, if it's just 30-minute drive, or it's just around the corner, would you go? But if they lived in a different state, or if they did live 100 miles, would you go to that person's funeral if you were in on good terms. And Juju said 5 miles, 5 miles max. Mama Bear, if I had a way there. Okay, so what if this person, and Sean's laughing. Okay, so what if this person was someone that you just had this horrible relationship with, and but you kind of still wanted to like stick it to him or her, just to show up, just to be an ass. How far would you travel? Because for me, like I said, with one of my exes, I would go just to make sure that he was in that box. And I would probably go out of town to make sure. But everyone else, they passed away. Oh, okay, move on. So, how far would you travel? Resentments is the wind in myself. All right. So see, you wouldn't want to waste your gas. Well, that's true. In California here, our gas is $6 a gallon. So that is true. That is true. So, but do you think that there should be etiquette if you go to a funeral? I mean, what if your ex remarried? Do you go? And when I say remarry, I'm saying, you all are divorced, but you're on good terms. Whether you have children or not, you all are on good terms. Um, and does the length of time matter? If you've been, divorced, or you haven't been dating this person for, say, like 5-10 years, is that enough time in between for you to show up at this person's funeral? And Mama Bear, let's see, if you get along with the new wife or husband. Okay, so what if, I'm not going to say what if you don't, but what if they're not, what if you don't really know them? Meaning the ex, meaning the new wife or the husband. What if you don't really know them? What if it's something like uh they know who you are, they know um you know who they are, and you may have said hi once or twice, whatever, but you never, for the most part, you've gone your way, they've gone their way, and that's it. You may have heard that they're working here or they're living there, whatever, but it's no big deal. Do you still go? I mean, does it matter? Okay, Mama Bear says, I still go. I was married to him first. All right. Even if that's even if it's a toxic relationship and you were married to him first, or the relationship wasn't that great, or with him or her, whatever, would you still go because you were married to them first? All right. June says only to meet someone new. Okay, so now we're going to funerals to pick.
You know I'm kidding.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing now. So at the funeral, there's going to be an open bar, and everybody can come and just meet people. Oh, dude, you are
Like it's
funny. You
Wedding
are
Crashers or something.
okay, but okay. So let me ask this: do you think that you have heard of people at weddings? Um, how many people have met at a funeral?
Here's where I shut up.
No, I mean, seriously. I mean, how many people? And I don't, and I'm not even trying to be funny, but how many people have met at a funeral? I mean, it is possible. I'm pretty sure some people have met at someone's funeral. Do crazy lady? Dude, you want to say something?
I've never heard of anybody meeting at a funeral, man. Okay.
Okay, but do you think that there's anything wrong with it? I mean, if you can meet at someone's wedding, okay, let's
No,
flip. Okay,
it,
so let's. Okay, I'm sorry. Go.
no, man. If you meet your love of your life at a funeral, hey, man, at least it wasn't your funeral. I mean,
So let's flip the tables. It's not a funeral. Would you go to your ex's wedding? Now, technically, you're supposed to be invited, and some people do crash. But if you were invited to your ex's wedding, would you go? And then my next question, I have two questions there. Why do people invite exes to a wedding? Or if you're not invited, you shouldn't go. But people don't send out invitations to a funeral where you can show up or not show up. Anybody?
that's a good question on the funeral thing. Why don't they? Hmm.
I mean, okay, do go ahead.
Well, the wedding thing, I mean, I'd probably go unless it was one of those things where it was like, oh, look how good I'm doing now, as opposed to when I was dating your sorry butt. Like, I'm not playing that game. I don't, and then honestly, to add to that, as far as like the couple that would be getting married, man, I already feel like that is a boundary, and somebody's boundaries are being going to be compromised for the rest of the marriage at their demise. By the in 10 years, somebody will be look like they're ready to hit like worm food, and the other person will probably look like a supermodel. That tends to be what I've noticed. That's the bungle for the jungle.
I mean, but seriously though, why is it that let's see, Boss says some say close family only and some say family and close friends only. Okay, and Bob, you're talking about weddings. I'm assuming you're talking about weddings. Um, because why do I need that invitation for a wedding? I'm still going to be around your family, your friends, but I don't need that invitation for a funeral. But yet, if I show up at your wedding unannounced, you're going to get pissed. And if I show up at the funeral and you don't like me, you're going to get pissed. So, why does one have an invitation and the other one doesn't? Because either way, if you show up and if someone doesn't like you or they don't want your presence there, they're going to talk about you anyway, right? you know? So why?
Well, maybe like one is a door opening, and the other is where there's closure from something from the past. So maybe that's my best stab at it, but you're gonna lose either way.
So if you were to crash, dude, if you were to crash a wedding or a funeral, which one would you be more which one would you crash more? The wedding or the funeral?
Oh, for sure, the wedding. Absolutely,
Why?
absolutely. So that way I can when I'm there for the divorce, I can say I saw the wedding.
Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. So, do you think that family comes into consideration when people are crashing a wedding or a funeral? Do you think the person who is doing the crashing that they're thinking about the family in terms of not so much as the person who's getting married or the person who has died, but you're also kind of sticking it to the family if you decide to crash?
It's like I'm here for the food either way, so I'm
And there are some people, you have some people, hold on, Angie says they can't invite you, they're dead. Okay, you do have some people who do look up in the newspaper to see, who has passed away, and they will go and they will crash, and sometimes it is just for the food. They'll go sit in the back, and then afterwards, depending upon where you have the repast, if it's, you know, um, at the church or somebody's house, or, I mean, I think it would be a bit much to come into somebody's house and you don't know them. But then again, you know, if a member of my family passed away and I had the repast at my house, I don't know if this is, one, a family member's friend. I mean, you really don't, so, um, just like the funeral, people are showing up and you don't know who all these people are. They're coming up to you saying, I'm sorry for your loss, I'm sorry for your loss. A lot of times you don't know who these people are. So um some people do go to funerals and weddings for for the money. I'm sorry, not for the money. I'm sorry, for the food. Okay, Gigi says, after the funeral, I'll go to the bereavement luncheon, depending upon how far I have to travel. You can go pay your respects. I wouldn't go to wait. Okay, only Sean and Angie have seen that. Or go to the gravesite. Okay, so Mama Bear, you bring up another good point. Do you think the gravesite typically is mainly for family? So if you have crashed the funeral, you are not on good terms with the family, you were not on good terms with the deceased. I mean, they're your ex. You're not on good terms with them. Are you pushing it going to the gravesite?
I'll take this one. Actually, no, because no matter what your relationship is with anybody else, sometimes that a person may need that closure, because whether they're your ex, at one point you did love them, that's the way I
But
would look at it.
but does it matter how the family feels? If the family did not want you there, but you wanted to pay your respects, and you honestly wanted to pay your respects, would you honor what the family wants, or would you just come after everyone's walked away and you're like standing? You see those movies where people are like standing by a tree or whatever. um what do you do if the family doesn't want you there, but you want to be there? Do you still go?
I'd still go, but I wouldn't be like front and center, I'd probably be like that, creepy figure hanging out by some other gravestones or something.
So if the tables were turned and it was your loved one, okay, it is your loved one, do you uh do you get upset if someone came that you did not like? Let's say your son, your daughter, whatever, loved this person, or your grandmother, grandfather, whatever, they really like this person, but you could not stand them, and they came. Do you let them stay because you know how the deceased felt about them, or you don't care, they have to leave?
I can answer this one too. Yeah, you let I let the chick stay because Alex did love her. Regardless of what my opinion of her or his father's opinion or anybody else's opinion. She still needed closure. You know what I mean?
So your son's ex, so you did not get along with her, or you didn't like her, or?
I did not have a very high opinion of her because of what she did to my son. So yeah, but I didn't do like Jamie. Get off. Act like an idiot.
did she go to all the services like the wake, the funeral, and then the gravesite, and then the repast after? If you had anything
She
after the
she
service?
she was there for the service, and she was there for the graveside. But I didn't see her at the wake.
Okay, all right. Now, Mama Bear says, my ex's family wouldn't want me there, but I'd still go. And Paul says, I don't think I would go. You can go to the gravesite when everyone leaves. What Truth Warrior says, wear a wig and a fat suit. Okay, and stand behind that tree. So again, so you're wearing this fat suit and a wig, and I know you're kidding and everything, but let's go from the funeral back to the wedding. Are you wearing that wig and a fat suit? Are you that person that's standing behind the cross that's in the back of the room, so you won't be seen at this wedding? Do you treat the wedding the same way as you would the funeral if the family doesn't like you, but you still wanted to go to this wedding and you're, kind of crashing? I mean, do you still wear that wig and fat suit? Welcome, shy lady.
I'm with
Well, if your ex doesn't mind you being there, I'd tell the rest of them not get bent.
Okay. And Truth Warrior says, no, I'm dancing. Damn it. So, dude.
I'm with Truth Warrior.
and and the open bar. Let's see. Angie says no, because surely you have been invited. You wouldn't just rock up uninvited. Angie, there are people who crash weddings. I mean, some people, they don't care. They will rock up, as you say, uninvited. And that's where you're gonna have to check out some of that YouTube stuff. I mean, it gets to the point where, you know, you would think you were at a WWF match. So I don't know. Let's see. Please keep hitting. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Juju's asking everyone to please keep hitting the like button. Yes, please keep hitting the like button. So, yeah. So, do you think there should be etiquette? Like, there's an etiquette for the funeral. What's the main thing that you should not do as an ex at a wedding? Anybody?
When they say, "Does anybody disagree with why these two shouldn't get married?" Don't run up there going, "I still love you, baby."
Dude.
Act anything other than cordial. I'd have to say you got to be on the utmost respect. Probably be a good idea. Believe it or not.
So, if you're there uninvited, where do you sit? Whose side do you sit on?
Oh, uninvited.
Do you sit on the? I mean, do you sit on the side of the ex, or do you sit on the side of the ex's family? I mean, whose side, or do you just sit in the middle of the floor? I mean, whose side? I mean, you were not invited, you are not wanted, and you go. Where do you sit?
At the bar.
Oh, dude, you are going to definitely get those drinks in. You are definitely going to get those drinks in. You know, I have only been to one wedding where somebody crashed. This was years ago. And they crashed and people were looking at them, but they sat in the back. And after the services were over, they got up and they left. So I guess, I mean, I didn't know who the person was, but after all the whispering and stuff, found out that this person crashed. So I'm assuming that they just came just to see this person get married for whatever reason, and they left. Me personally, I would not crash a wedding, but like I said, for the funeral, I would go for one particular ex to make sure that this person was actually in the box. You know, they say that LaToya Jackson's ex-husband, the one who uh, used to beat her, faked his own death one time just to kind of drive her crazy. And apparently, she was having some really big issues mentally with this guy. So when he really died, um, you know, she had to she went to his gravesite, I do believe, to make sure that he was dead, and her family, checked the funeral home and everything to I think one of her brothers or one of her cousins or somebody actually went to his funeral to make sure that he was actually dead. So you know is it a psychological thing for some people um if they go to a funeral just to make sure that that person's gone? I mean, how much does that affect you? Shy Lady says, I never go where I'm not invited. Welcome, Grid. I'm sorry, I did not see you sneak into the room. Well, not sneak, but I'm sorry. Welcome, Grid, and welcome, Crucible. Welcome. And Juju says that is creepy. So accidentally on purpose, spill your drink on him. All right. So, I mean, when you decide to crash a wedding or a funeral, does it take a certain person to just have that mindset that they're going to do it? Or you know do you just wake up one day knowing that the funeral is going to be on this day or the wedding's going to be on this day, and you plan it out that you're going to crash? Or do you think people just do it? The same with people who look up in the newspaper and they see who died, and people just go. You have people who just go from funeral to funeral. They just do that. So in the end, what are some reasons that people see, True Warrior says, I want the Rolex back that I gave him. Oh boy. But if they're your ex, wouldn't you have gotten the Rolex before he was your ex? Like when he was on his way out the door? Um, you know, wouldn't you have gotten that Rolex back then while he was still living? Because I guarantee you, is a Rolex is not being buried with him. I guarantee you, somebody else is walking around with that Rolex. So, but so okay, so talked about where to sit. What about what to say? Okay, you are the ex, and again, ex-wife, ex-husband, ex-girlfriend, whatever. This person has, remarried, and you're at the funeral, not at the wedding. You're at the funeral. What do you say? Do you say anything? I mean, do you go through that line where people, when the last right before they close the casket, and people are going to, they're going to view the body for the last time, and you're walking past the family, or I'm sorry for your loss, whatever. Do you even get up to do that? And if you do you just keep walking past the family? You don't say anything, or what do you say? If they know that you're the ex and your relationship was not that great, what do you say? Anybody?
I'm sorry, I cannot stop laughing right
Well,
now.
no, I'm serious. I mean, what do you say?
It's just that I have this
Woody.
vision.
I think what you say would depend on your relationship with the family. I've had bad relationships that went south, and I still had good relationships with her family.
So you're saying that, okay, so if you have a good relationship, then you would say something. But what if you didn't have a good relationship with your ex, and the family knew it? Do you still say something to them if you go to this funeral? Do you still say something to them?
Well, that's what I mean. I think it would depend on my relationship with the family, regardless of what the relationship with her was like or him was like. Sometimes you have a poor relationship with your significant other, but you get along great with her father, mother, brothers, or whatever kind of thing, right?
So are you going for the family, or are you going for the deceased?
Again, I think that depends on your relationship with the family, right? If you were good with the family, then maybe you're there for them. But you know, depending
Okay.
on your, I don't, just my
Okay.
thoughts.
All right. All right. Do you wanted to say something?
I'm just laughing. I've been laughing. I just have this vision of me at the wedding, like throwing the rice, but like just throwing it way too hard at the end. Or rice that's already been cooked. Like just, here, take that. In your face. It's a tradition. What can you do?
Well, Truth Warrior says, say, woohoo, now I can collect on that insurance policy. Hot diggity, I'm rich. Well, actually, Truth Warrior, you couldn't, because if you're the ex, I don't think you're getting anything. So I don't think you're going to be rich or whatever. And Juju says, I would go for the family. Okay, so I'm going back to the wedding, guys. I'm flipping back to the wedding. Let's say your ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend is remarrying. They did not invite you to the wedding. Let's say your mother did, or your father did. Someone else in the immediate family invited you to that wedding. Do you go?
I personally would not. I've been in similar situations where it's a setup for some kind of like drama. Absolutely not. I
Okay. Crazy lady, would you go?
think she's on a smoke break.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think she's there. Woody, would you go?
I think I would.
So, do you think they would be uncomfortable?
Likely, yeah. Depends on how awkward of a person you are.
Okay, so are you going for the person that invited you, or damn good and well that the person getting married does not want you there, the person they're marrying does not want you there, but again, somebody's mother or father, whatever, they invited you, you would still go?
Yeah, well, I'm also kind of a spiteful prick, so I would probably go because I knew they didn't want me there. If
Okay. Now Angie says it's not their place to do that, and I wouldn't go. Angie, I understand that, but when people are planning weddings, mamas and daddies and everybody wants to invite Uncle Joe, or the nice young lady down the street, or this nice gentleman I met at work, or I really liked her. How come you didn't marry her? I mean, it may not be their place, but with weddings, people will, you have your guest list of, let's say, 100, and all of a sudden you look up and there's 150 people on this guest list, and you're like, where the hell did those other 50 people can't come from? They came from your family members in inviting other people. So um Juju says the groom invited me to the wedding. He was my ex. I only went to the reception. Truth Royer, and bring a really, really hot guy and make out heavily in front of the ex. All right. So, Juju, when you say the groom invited you to the wedding, see, I would go to the wedding, but not the reception. And I say not the reception because to me, when you're at the reception, you're kind of forced to, well, not forced, but you're in the situation where you're going to be mingling with people, and that's where the gossips could start and what have you. Whereas if you're at the wedding, everyone is basically sitting there, they're quiet. The only person who's talking is the minister and the two people who are getting married. And people may look at you sideways, but there's not going to be any talk. To me, if you go to the reception, you're opening yourself up for gossip. That's just my opinion there. And Angie says, I don't care. Doesn't come from groom and bride. I ain't going. Okay. All right. All right. And yep, people do take over. So when you say I was not interested in the church, or do you mean interested in the, you just didn't like the church, or? And Truth Warrior says, not only would I go to reception, I would pretend to bump into him on his honeymoon. See, that's just too much stress there for me. So, okay. Woody, you wanted to say something? Or was that dude who wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, it depends if they've got an open bar or not.
Everybody always goes for the drinks. Everyone goes for the drinks. Dude?
I think I just had a breakthrough. I think we should take advantage while we have the momentum here to really reach out and boycott these weddings. No matter where you are at on the spectrum of falling down, it's not too late. And we really need to be asking ourselves the bigger questions. What could we be doing to invest in ourselves during that time where we would be, going to the wedding and doing for others? Screw it. Take yourself out on a date, go on a restaurant, order alone, pay for it ahead of time, the whole thing. Tell them to leave you the F alone for an hour. Go to a movie, something like that. Treat yourself, maybe some new sneakers. That's where it's at. But these weddings, it's just gotten out of control. It's the new epidemic. Thank you.
Would you say the same thing about the funeral?
Hopefully we could boycott those too. Yes, if we find a way to get out of that in tax season, yes, boycott them all.
Okay. All right. All right. It's just it's interesting to see how far people will go if they are crashing something. I'm going to go back to the wedding. You crashed the wedding. Do you bring a gift? Anybody?
We are the gift.
So you're crashing the wedding. You're going to partake in this open bar. Okay. You are going to spend some of my money on my wedding that I have, I'm doing this open bar and I have all this food, spending my money for all this. And you're not going to bring a gift and you're crashing.
If it was somebody that didn't like me and I was going for a bit of a spiteful reason, I'd likely make sure I took something that I knew they didn't like.
Okay. All right.
Maybe to remind them of why we're in this situation or what caused the hate.
Okay. Now Angie says, see, funeral and weddings are two totally different things. One is a final goodbye. Yes and no. So if you're the ex, couldn't a wedding be a goodbye? Couldn't the wedding be a where this is it? You all are not, if you maybe hope to get back together, or maybe you didn't. Couldn't the wedding be this person has said I do with someone else, They are married to them now. Isn't that a final goodbye? I mean, and I know what you mean, a final goodbye, that the person's gone, they're dead, they aren't coming back. But for a wedding, couldn't a wedding be a final goodbye? And Gigi says she would not crash a wedding. Okay, not really. They are still they are still up and about. Okay, so you consider a final goodbye as if the person is just the bottom line, that person is just gone. I mean, they are just, dead. So, okay. And you had your final goodbye before that. Give him a book on how to find a decent woman. Oh, truth warrior, truth warrior. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. Yes, a funeral is, is permanent. The person's gone. But for some people don't know that, a relationship's over until that person has been married, until that person has gotten married, and they see that, they really did go through with it, and they married someone else. So it was the goodbye. Wedding is the first death. Welcome Saturday Night Smoke. I mean, I dated someone in the 80s. And again, this is the only person that I would go to their funeral, either crashing it or whatever, just to make sure this person was gone. Everyone else, if they die, sorry to hear it, but this particular person, I would have to make sure that, like, that they were gone. Crazy Lady says, I went to my ex-husband's funeral. Let's see. I'm trying to read these comments here. Okay. So, yeah. So, the other question, my final question, is about the funeral. What if you were invited to your ex's funeral? Welcome, Petty Deb. What if you were invited to your ex's funeral? Do you think it's rude to decline the invitation?
No. All jokes aside, it's okay to have boundaries at the end of the day.
Would you decline an ex's invitation to a wedding?
I just can't ever fathom where I've ever had a relationship that didn't end up being total war at the end. So I haven't seen that out in society either too much, where it's we're still friends and it's genuine.
Well, I mean, some people do break up and they're still friends. I mean, they still get along well, but for whatever reason, wait, they're making a mistake by staying friends.
Yeah, maybe send them off a little bit. Be like, you know what? It may not make sense now, but 10, 20 years, you might reflect and be like, wanted to maybe regret not holding a better boundary in the beginning of the wedding, perhaps. And who knows, you might reap the consequences of not having a strong footing to hold a nice beachhead in the beginning. So, right, you got to attack it and make it work. I've never been married, but I've heard about it. Oh, man.
So you see, now you're getting into a whole different subject here. So you don't think it's possible to end a relationship? And I just want, because I may have misunderstood you, and I probably did. Is it possible to end a relationship and stay on good terms with your ex? And I'm saying, there's no kids involved, no pets, nothing else, just the two of you. Is it possible?
I've never had it happen. I'm used to Johnny Law. Whoop whoop. There's all sorts of fun stuff. Chinese dishes flying past my head, you name it. Is that
But at the same time, though, some people in relationships, just because they grow apart, that for whatever reason, it's like you still like each other, you can still care for this person, you just grow apart from that person.
Woody Bush? You want to help me out here?
My track record's not that much better, bud.
I mean,
LOL.
I'm sorry, go on.
I almost married one girl because I think I fell in love with her old man, her dad, but I got smarter after that. But not too many of them end on a good terms, that's for sure.
Okay, so if relationships don't end on good terms, is it both of their faults? Or is it the fault of one person? The other
Depends who
person? I
cheated.
mean, okay, so you're talking about cheating. Okay, all right. So again, what if there was no cheating? What if again you're in this relationship and for whatever reason you grow apart? I mean, people do change. I mean, in a marriage, in a relationship, if you've been with someone for a long time, what you may have wanted when you first got married, you may not want then. And if you want to do something that your spouse or your significant other doesn't want to do, or vice versa, you don't want to do what they want to do. Sometimes people just drift apart. So is it possible to stay on good terms with an ex, um, and still be friends?
I was wrong, actually. I have had one relationship that ended like well, and we remained friends, and it was actually with the youngest person I've dated. We were 10 years apart, and basically came to the conclusion that we're different places in our lives and had some fun together, but this isn't, so neither of us saw a future together, right?
So are you guys still friends?
No, my wife wouldn't like that very much, but I mean, we were for years, and we there was no hard feelings at the end.
And do you know if she got married or what she's doing now?
Yeah, she got married,
Okay.
but it was 6 or 7 years after I did. So, again, different places in our lives.
Okay. All right. So is that a funeral that you would go to? Would you go to her funeral?
Yep. Yeah, that's a
Would you?
funeral I would go
Okay.
to. Sorry, I'm cleaning showers here and I've got gloves on.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So I mean, let's see. It's not rude. Mama Bear says it's not rude. I'm trying to think what you're referring to. Maybe something I said. Okay. Yes, if I wasn't comfortable with it, Angie says depends on the relationship with ex and new partner. Let's see, I think I went up a little bit too far. Me and my ex dated for 10 years and still remain good friends. And it is possible. It is possible to, date someone and being in a relationship with someone and you still, remain, on good terms. So uh maybe that person who you remain good friends with and they get married and you're invited to the wedding, would you go? I mean, Grit, would you go to your ex's wedding if they invited you, if you were invited, assuming they're still single?
I would be like, yeah, right on. Hope you had better luck with them than I did.
Dude.
For me it would weigh on if my friend's new lover would be compromised or not. I think that's where my first thought would be at, whether or not we were still good to go. But you know what? Woody Bush did give a good example. I forgot there are life circumstances like that where it's like, okay. I dated someone young too, and eventually was like, all right, I think it's time for you to go run and play with the other ones that you are your age.
It was fun while it lasted, but
Yeah. Go on ahead where it's safe. Let me die alone. Quick escape while you can.
Well, I mean, I think that's interesting that you guys say that, because I'm reading what Grit said. He says, I would if I wasn't in a relationship, but if the person is getting married and they invited you, why would you not go? I mean, they're getting married. What difference does it make? Sometimes, if they tell you to bring a plus one, and that plus one could be your husband or a wife. Grit, welcome. Are you there, Grit?
Sorry, broke away the signal there.
Oh, I keep forgetting you are in your car. I am so sorry.
That's all right. What was the question? Sorry, I didn't get it.
No, I'm looking at what you said. You said you would go if you weren't in a relationship. What difference does it make? Couldn't you just take your wife or your significant other with you to the wedding as the plus one?
Well, I mean, in this situation, like this ex of mine, because we remain close friends after the breakup, it's sort of been a touchy subject for my wife. She feels a little insecure around this person because we've remained friends. So she probably wouldn't go if there was an invite, and if I were to go alone, that would just add fuel to the fire. So.
But if you go by
Probably.
yourself, that person's getting married. I mean, you're not. I mean, she's marrying someone else.
Yeah, I'll tell this to my wife. This is what I don't understand. Yeah, so women are a bit funny sometimes. I don't know. I kept telling her that it's over between us. We're just friends, and that's all it is. We're on the other sides of the world, and there's still that bit of insecurity around that person. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. All right. So, crazy lady, what do you think of that? Would you not go to your ex's wedding because of your current husband?
Yeah, if he threw a big, stink about it, I would, because I wouldn't want to have to deal with him, after the fact. But I would take him with me. I'd be like, come on with me, man, dude. So, yeah.
But okay, but that brings up another question that I have, because do you think that's wrong? I mean, do you think it's wrong to go to this wedding without your significant other? And again, I say, for me, I guess I'm just not seeing the threat, because the person's getting married, and more than likely, you know, they'll say hi to you, but you're not going to be their main focus, because it's their day and they're marrying their new wife or their new husband, and they have a lot more other things to think about than you.
Well,
Woody?
one of my friends that I grew up with, his marriage started and ended on his wedding day because of that exact situation. An ex who came to the wedding and he made poor decisions with her and got caught, and it didn't last very long.
Okay, so but is that the exception other than the rule? I mean, isn't that an exception? I mean, how many people getting married are going to fool around with their ex on their wedding day?
Oh, it's definitely an exception, but I think the people that, like Grid Talk said, his wife wouldn't appreciate that or wouldn't want that. I'm the same. I wouldn't want my wife going to that, but that's because of my history and being cheated on and just the way my brain works now, thanks to those terrible things that women have done.
Okay. All right. Dude.
Well, my thing is like, if it's an avoidable stress like that, which with all due respect, if it's gonna put your relationship, like, I mean, why even bother? Just embrace your new relationship and be like, I actually would use it to my advantage. I'd be like, you know what, honey, you're so right. Let's go out and do something and appreciate you or something. I don't know what. Actually, that sounded manipulative.
Dude, that's
Never
probably the
mind.
smartest thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth, bud.
I guess manipulation can be sexy too, right?
All right. I mean, I guess I see it differently. If ex of my husband, was getting married and inviting him to the wedding, I'm like, if I don't go with him or go have fun, whatever, and that's it. I mean, I think if you expect something to happen, then you're constantly looking out your mirror, your rearview mirror, saying, "Well, did he do this? Did she do this?" And like I said, more than likely, they're not even thinking about you. But again, I think that's the exception where someone actually fools around on their wedding day with their ex. Lou Rock, welcome.
I'm curious, and if this is too personal, feel free not to answer, but it just curious because of the way my brain works after being through a couple of relationships like that. Have you ever had any failed relationships where somebody's cheated on you?
I can handle this one.
Yes. And I'll even go one further for you, Woody. I dated a guy who cheated on me several times, and he actually cheated on me. And this is the person who I said that I would go to their funeral just to make sure that they were dead. This is when I was living at home with my parents. He cheated on me on my birthday, and I did not know it. And he came over, and I had not decided what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to stay home and just hang out or, go out to see a movie or whatever. And the whole time he's sitting there, he has on his coat and has it zipped up all the way to the neck, whatever. And I mean, it's wintertime, and but it's not cold in the house. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, why don't you take off your coat? And he goes, no, I'm fine. And I kept looking at him. And so I went and you said, why don't you just take off your coat? And I unzipped his coat, and he had all these hickeys on his neck. Okay. So you all know what hickeys are. And I didn't put them there. Come to find out that he slept with someone on my birthday. And not only did he sleep with someone on my birthday, he slept with two women on my birthday.
Wow, that's slimy.
So, needless to say that, and then there were other things, whatever. But sometimes you need that knock on the head, and that was the knock on my head.
That doesn't sound like cheating.
Dude,
that sounds like a damn satanic ritual at that point. What is that person, a vampire?
Well,
Black cloud, bad vibes. Good night.
Well, I was in my 20s, but anyway, so he's the one, like I said, that if he were to die, I would go to the funeral to make sure that he was dead. Shy lady, welcome.
Hey, I just want to say that some people can't handle a person. Like I know you said, what if that person's getting married? Well, you should be secure to know that if that person is getting married and invited you to the wedding, then they're secure and who they've moved on or whatever. But there's some people, even though they may be married, they, for whatever reason.
Okay, Shy lady, you are breaking up. Can you repeat that last part? You said that there are some people who may.
I said there are some people who may be married themselves, and if they're invited to someone else's wedding, their securities, um, if their ex was involved with someone else, they like I guess they're jealous and so they're very insecure and they can't handle it. So I think everybody is different,
No, I mean
but
no, and I understand that. I'm just saying that for me, I don't understand where the insecurity would come in. I mean that is me, and you are absolutely right. Everyone is different, but I'm just looking at it as if I marry, you know that I'm coming home to you, or vice versa, and I know that this other person's getting married to someone else. I'm not expecting my husband to pull them, to the side and, and do something. But okay, let me ask this. Would it matter if your husband or wife got an invitation to a wedding from their girlfriend or their male friend? So for a man, your male friend is getting married, he invites you. For a woman, your girlfriend is getting married, they invite you. Would it matter in terms of going to the wedding?
Depends how good of a relationship your other half has with that person, I think.
But does it matter? I mean, but if it's my girlfriend who is getting married, and I've known her for, let's say, for 15 years, and she finally found the one, and she's getting married, and she invited me. Does it really matter how well my husband knows her? I mean, he can either come with me or he can stay home, and vice versa. This is my homie. We play football and we watch football games together. Honey, if you don't want to go, then you can go out to have lunch with your girlfriends, or you can come with me. I mean, does it matter if your spouse or your significant other knows your friend?
I don't think so. Not if you have a relationship that's worth anything and there's trust,
I mean, but where does the trust come in? I mean, you're going to your friend's wedding. You're going to your male friend's wedding. I'm going to my girlfriend's wedding. Where does the trust come in? We're just going to a wedding.
I don't. I think like for me, it's a mental thing. It's not even. It's something that's in my brain from experience after experience and a lack of trust in anybody, I guess. Right.
Okay. All right. Shy lady?
it reminds me of the time we had a call, and it was a caller on the line that said kind of similar that they wouldn't want one of their good friends to date an ex, even though they're married, and the ex is free and single to do whatever they want to do. It's like I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that, but I remember on that call he was adamant that he did not want one of his buddies to date a woman that he had dated before, even though he's married. And there are certain people that are just territorial, possessive, and it doesn't matter if they're married to someone else now. You just have people like that, and it just baffles me, that some people are like that. And so some people that feel like if they know, you were with that person, they might start thinking like insecurity things, and it's just unfortunate. But there are some people like that. I just found it really strange that this guy married, and he's saying that he doesn't want his buddies to date a girl that he used to date, even though they've moved on. So
Well, I said that at the very beginning of the show that some people are very territorial, and Lurak says you don't date someone's ex or sister or cousin. I think you're kind of pushing it with the sister or the cousin. So basically, you're saying hands off the entire family. But when then you say, well, who wants to double dip? I mean, so you know, I agree with Shy Lady, because my thing is, if you are Shy Lady, I'm going to mute you here for a moment.
okay.
So if you are if enough time has passed, let's say it's been a year, and you've moved on, you have found this other girl or this other guy, whatever, and you're happy, or you're married, what difference does it make if your friend is dating them? I mean, if it's been, again, you have your own life, and you're happy, whatever. Why do you care? Why? And when I say you, I don't mean you person. I'm this is just a term, because I got in trouble for saying why do you care on another show. Why would someone care if you date someone else's ex and you have moved on, you have another life? So maybe you really haven't moved on. Maybe you really are attached to that person.
Well,
Anybody? Well,
yes.
well, what, I'm sorry, dude. Let me go to a Grid, because Grid did pop back. Grid, you wanted to say something?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? I was just pulling over somewhere.
Oh, all right. So, did you want to say something, Grid, or no?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. I was just pulling over somewhere. What was
No,
the
I
question?
know. I thought you wanted to add something. Did you want to add anything?
I was going to just say something about the invitation to your friend's a wedding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I've been to a few of my wife's friends' weddings with her, and I haven't known the people very well, but I went with, and I wouldn't mind her going alone if I decided not to go, but knowing my partner, she wouldn't go alone without me. So that's just a thing we've done. Like she's been to one or two weddings that I've been invited to as my partner, with her not knowing the people at all. Um, but that's just us. That's just a thing. I don't think either one of us would go to a wedding invitation alone without the other one. So that's just my experience of it.
Okay. All right. See, I don't mind going by myself. I've been to a couple of weddings by myself. So, and the weddings that I went to, somebody had to show up, and I knew my husband wasn't going to go, so I went. But, dude,
Okay, well, two things that I would like to add. One thing is that, um, you know, sex, whether you've been with it has been a year or not, there's more to just the physical element that some people are weighing in on the spiritual element. Like soul ties is a popular topic nowadays, that kind of thing. And then two, I think it's really important also for us to recognize that human nature, that oftentimes we all can kind of clown or kid ourselves when it comes to like not feeling certain emotions or compartmentalizing, like, oh, well, I never get mad. Why would you ask if I'm angry? You know, that kind of thing. Like, of course I'm not jealous. Why would that even be a thing? You know? So just something to kind of just throw in there a little bit. Anyhow.
Okay. Blue Rock says if someone wants to date your ex, they're always been checking them. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Does the bride wear white? Lies and okay. So I'm going to wrap this show up. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to add before we go?
I have one thing that sort of relates. I've had my first really long-term relationship ended very poorly due to some decisions she made, and really scarred me for a long time. But 10 years later, we met back up again, and I got invited to her wedding, but it wasn't before we had relations again. And then I got a wedding invite 2 weeks later. So what do you say in that situation to the groom?
That's a bit dicey. That's a bit dicey there. So
I didn't go to the wedding, by the way, but
okay, so you stayed home. All right. Does anybody else have anything they would like to add before we wrap this up and close it out?
Well, solid. I've got some male friends that my wife would not dare let me go out on a boys' night with. So I'm assuming that she wouldn't let me go to their wedding either, just because we would get up to a lot of nonsense. So yeah, that depends, I think, on your background with that friend of yours and what you guys probably used to get up to.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, I am going to wrap this up. I am going to ask if everyone could disconnect themselves from the panel. Thank you. Thank you. If everyone could disconnect themselves from the panel. Thank you very much. And tomorrow I will be posting it later today. But I will be doing a show 7 p.m. tomorrow evening Eastern time. So I will be posting the show later today. And also, I will be doing after I do this show, I am going to be doing a series of test shows. So if you guys see me live, I'm not actually doing a show. I'm actually preparing for my show tomorrow because I'm going to be streaming live on TikTok. And I have to make sure that my camera and everything is working. So if you see a live show come up, and I will also be streaming onto YouTube. So if you see anything pop up with me over the next, hour or so, I'm not doing a show. I'm just testing out to make sure that my camera and everything is working correctly. So again, guys, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your likes. And Frankie, you had asked me a question. I forgot what it was. Anyway, everyone, I hope to see you tomorrow evening. Until then, go where the wind takes you, and I'll see you tomorrow evening. Bye. And Woody, thanks for joining. I do appreciate it. Blue Rock, Crucible, Baram, Truth Warrior, Crazy Lady, Juju, Shy Lady, Grid, Saturday Night Smoke, Angie. Let's see, Power Girl. And I am forgetting someone. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Mama Bear. Mama Bear. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. And Crazy Lady, did I mention you? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Bye.